Currently in first place in D class is D14 Eastern Express. Eastern Express is a 32-foot Douglas Marine skater powered by two 700-horsepower Chevy engines with Mercruiser drives. The driver, Joe Brashambi from St. Clair Shores, Michigan. At the throttle, Bob Carrick from Algonac, Michigan. Eastern Express currently in first place in D class. How sweet it is, too, actually retired by the first turn in D class. There's Gotcha on the outside, a modified C. Eastern Express passing up Gotcha. Mr. Goodwrench is in second place in Offshore D, and Eastern Express, as we mentioned before, is the current leader in D class. Eastern Express also is the leader in D class in the Great Lakes Trophy Series point totals, but it is also vying for the trophy, the Great Lakes Trophy, with Rock Solid. They are right now neck and neck here in total points. So in this race, it will be decided who the Great Lakes Trophy winner is, and Eastern Express is right up there. You're watching Eastern Express D14, current leader in D class here at this 1993 Lake of the Ozarks Superboat Grand Prix. There's Team Jaguar on the inside. Team Jaguar, of course, in open class. The Eastern Express racing team would like to thank a number of its sponsors, including Eastern Produce, Loctite Corporation, Mercury Marine, Kotak Engine Development, Chevy Power, Canvas Creations, Environmental Signs, Carrick Steel, Sunoco Racing Fuels, and Trans Overseas. Eastern Express currently the leader, number one in D class. Eastern Express has just a tremendous record this year. It's won just about every race that it's entered, and currently is in first place in the national point standings for U.S. Offshore Racing Association. It is on the outside with Hot and Nasty on the inside. There you see the continuing of this battle for first place in Superstock. And there you can see just how close these two boats are. Hot and Nasty took a second place in Montauk, a third in Erie, and a first place in Point Pleasant, a third in Kent Narrows, and a second in Virginia Beach. Hot and Nasty is currently in second place in the national point standings for U.S. Offshore Racing Association. What a great battle we've got here on our hands between Hot and Nasty on the inside. How sweet it is on the outside. A battle for first place in Superstock. Hot and Nasty would like to thank some of its sponsors, including Green Art Plumbing Supply, Dr. Lewis Schaub, Rapid Road Service, S&S Propeller, and D. Lilly, Lexington Fire Protection, C&J Auto Collision, WH Plumbing, Cody Marine, and Sir James Signs. Of course, thanks to Pete from Cobra. Hot and Nasty now has moved into first place in Superstock, but how sweet it is on the outside. Of course, still giving plenty of competition, and the battle goes on for first place here in S-Class. But right now, Hot and Nasty apparently has grabbed first. But how sweet it is. There it is on the outside, not very far behind. It is in second place in Superstock, trailing Hot and Nasty. How sweet it is a 28-foot skater powered by two 2.5 EFIs with Mercruiser drive. The driver is Darren LaChance from Plainville, Massachusetts. The throttle man is George Peterson from Long Island. How sweet it is. Currently in first place on the SBR standings. How sweet it is. There's Labatt's Genuine Draft going by there on the inside. Labatt's is in second place in open class. How sweet it is. Currently in second place in Superstock. As we said, it is in first place in the SBR National Point Standings. How sweet it is. The How Sweet It Is sponsors include Reebok and Sweeteners Plus. The boat is maintained by East Coast Marine from West Babylon, New York. How sweet it is. There we see some of the homes here along the coast, some of the islands here at the Lake of the Ozarks area. Beautiful resort area, as you can see in the background. There's Hot and Nasty there on the inside, and of course how sweet it is. And you can see the battle still continues here for first place. Hot and Nasty was in first place for a while, but who knows what's going to happen. Look just how close these boats are. The battle for first in super stock. There you see how sweet it is on the outside, and now it looks like it's taking the lead in super stock. These two boats have been swapping leads really throughout this whole race. Just an exciting battle here as they now go around the turn with how sweet it is on the outside and Hot and Nasty on the inside. It's been pretty much the way you see it throughout the whole race. It's a terrific competitive battle between these two super stock boats. The leader in pro stock is P32 Toughen Up, a 32-foot skater powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Aboard Toughen Up, the husband and wife team of Mark and Dana Weigel. Dana is the driver, Mark at the throttle of Toughen Up. Toughen Up would like to thank its sponsors, including Right Go Homes, Renrod, Imperial Collision Center, and UES Management and Consulting. You're looking at Toughen Up, the current leader in pro stock. Toughen Up. Toughen Up has had many great starts in its career. Right now it is in second place in D class in the Great Lakes Trophy Series. Right now Toughen Up in first place in P class. There's Budweiser now coming into the picture right behind Toughen Up and passing Toughen Up now. Budweiser is in first place in open class and the first overall leader here at this 1993 Lake of the Ozarks Superboat Grand Prix. Budweiser in first and first overall. There's Budweiser out in the distance and Toughen Up, as we see, in first place in pro stock. And there we see the boats going into the turn with some of the spectator boats in the background. There's Toughen Up around the buoy. Mark and Dana Weigel doing a fine job aboard the 32-foot skater. Toughen Up. There's Eastern Express on the outside. Eastern Express is right now second overall and is your Great Lakes Trophy winner with the most number of points overall. There's Labatt's there that we just see is out of the race, and Labatt is out of the race in open class. All the other boats except Budweiser, so Budweiser. Well, there's How Sweet It Is, the current leader in S-Class. A battle going on in S-Class between How Sweet It Is and Hot and Nasty throughout this whole race. They've been swapping leads, but How Sweet It Is holds the lead right now. Darren LaChance and George Peterson from Long Island doing a phenomenal job with How Sweet It Is and keeping it in first place in this 1993 Land of the Ozarks Superboat Grand Prix. How Sweet It Is a 28-foot skater powered by two 2.5 EFIs. There you see some of the spectator boats in the background and one of the many inlets here on the Land of the Ozarks. Just a great place to have a race. Just beautiful. How Sweet It is currently in first place in the SBR National Point standings, and of course if it continues as it is right now, it will win in its class in the National Point standings for SBR. How Sweet It Is, Darren LaChance and George Peterson aboard, doing an excellent job maneuvering this boat into first place right now so far, with Hot and Nasty in second place in S-Class. It's a great competition. Now we're able to give you the Superboat Racing National Point standings for 1993. In the Superboat Cat category, we've got Dirty Laundry in first place, followed by Team Cobra. In Superboat V, In Excess, followed by Tweet Revenge and Kid Apache Kid. In Open Cat, Labatt's, Team Jaguar, Shooter's Waterfront Cafe, and Budweiser. In Open V, Archer Performance and Cigarette Lady. In Pro 1, Tough Enough and High Risk. In Pro 2 Cat, we've got How Sweet It Is, Radioactive, and Ragamuffin. In Pro 2V, Gone Again, CF Express, and Dick Scherer Marine. In Offshore D, How Sweet It Is 2, Eastern Express, and Mr. Goodwrench. And finally, in Modified C, Team Extreme, Gotcha, and Mr. Goodwrench. Those are the national point standings for Superboat Racing. There you see our onboard camera capturing the Budweiser racing team receiving its checkered flag for first in class and first overall. Now we can give you the Great Lakes Trophy Series final point standings. In Offshore D, Eastern Express in first place. In Eastern Express is also the Great Lakes Trophy winner with first in overall points. Tough Enough in second, and Mr. Goodwrench in third. In Sport Class, we've got Rock Solid, Tahoe, and Parts Plus. In Factory Class, Spoiled Banana, Ocean Outboard, and Spirit of Hula won. In the Modified C, Mr. Goodwrench with Team Extreme in second place, moving up from fifth place. Gotcha came in third. In Production Class A, Wave Hippie, followed by RC Marine and Great Adventure. Those are the Great Lakes Trophy Series final point standings for 1993. In second place in Modified is How Sweet It Is 2. How Sweet It Is 2 is a 32-foot skater powered by two 700-horsepower MRD inboards with Mercruiser drives. The driver, Carl Myers from Canada's New York. At the throttle, Jim McIntyre from Shirley, Long Island. How Sweet It Is 2 in second place in Modified behind Agitator. There's our onboard camera aboard How Sweet It Is 2. There you get a view of how it looks like there on the back of the boat. You see some of the other boats in the background. How Sweet It Is 2 is coming off a first place finish. And the first time that it ever entered in M class, it won. It was an APBA race in New Orleans. This was a little bit earlier today, getting ready for the green flag before the start of this 1993 Red Adair Offshore blowout. There's How Sweet It Is 2. Once again, there's our onboard camera. This is the way it was before the start of this race. How Sweet It Is 2 took a first place in Long Beach, California earlier this year. A first in San Diego, first in Lake Peoria, and a first place in Montauk. There you see now, you hear the engines revving up, and now we've got the green flag, and the 1993 Red Adair Offshore blowout has begun here for How Sweet It Is 2. A little bit earlier today, this is what it looked like. There's our onboard camera aboard How Sweet It Is 2. How Sweet It Is 2 took a second place at the United Grocers and a first place in Virginia Beach. Those had a very good 1993 season. Once again, this was the very beginning of this race a little bit earlier. There's our onboard camera aboard How Sweet It Is 2. Of course, Mr. Carl Myers of Canada's New York is the driver. Throttle man Jim McIntyre from Shirley, Long Island, in their canopies. The very beginning of this race earlier today. There's In Excess in Super Class there on the right side. In the early moments of this race, picking up some ground there on How Sweet It Is 2 alongside, and now getting ready to pass How Sweet It Is 2 in M Class. Of course, In Excess in Superboat Class. There's How Sweet It Is 2. Some of the sponsors include Reebok and Sweeteners Plus. How Sweet It Is 2 currently in second place in M Class, behind Agitator. Carl Myers and Jim McIntyre doing a fine job aboard How Sweet It Is 2. We at Freeze Frame Video would like to thank Mr. Carl Myers and the whole How Sweet It Is 2 racing team, and of course the people at MRD for helping us out and transporting our video equipment during this 1993 season. Thank you guys very much. Some of the other competition, actually not much competition. Airborne in the modified has retired, so How Sweet It Is 2 is facing Agitator, which is in first place right now in the modified, and Flying Tiger. Right now, How Sweet It Is 2 in second place. Once again, there's our shot from our onboard camera. Little bumpy today, making it for a little bit more exciting for us as well as the drivers, I'm sure. Let's listen to those two 700 horsepower MRD inboards. There's some of the Galveston Beach in the background. Great vantage point for watching this race. Another good vantage point for watching this race is the Galveston seawall, which many people are watching this race from. How Sweet It Is 2, currently in second place in modified. Carl Myers and Jim McIntyre doing a fine job. All right, there's a battle for second place there with Flying Tiger on the inside and How Sweet It Is 2 on the outside. Flying Tiger, of course, a 30-foot Chris Craft. And very close now, very close to How Sweet It Is 2. How Sweet It Is 2 in second place in M-Class, but Flying Tiger now threatening to overtake How Sweet It Is 2. Very close here on this turn. And now Flying Tiger has moved into second place in the modified with How Sweet It Is 2 on the outside now in third place. How Sweet It Is 2, a 32-foot skater. Flying Tiger, a 30-foot Chris Craft. There's the Flying Tiger on the inside, has taken over second place, but How Sweet It Is 2 on the outside now, picking up some ground. There's How Sweet It Is 2 with Mr. Carl Myers and Jim McIntyre trying to retake second place in the modified. In second place right now in the M-Class, of course, is Flying Tiger on the inside. Aboard Flying Tiger, driver navigator Sonny Hawkins from Elma, New York. At the throttle, Tina Blizniak, also from Elma, New York. An exciting battle going on here between Flying Tiger and How Sweet It Is 2. Flying Tiger, of course, a 30-foot Chris Craft. How Sweet It Is 2, a 32-foot skater. Battling for second place here. Flying Tiger just overtook How Sweet It Is 2 just a few moments ago, but How Sweet It Is 2 is hanging in there, and they're pretty much even, fighting for second place. Of course, Agitator is in first place right now in M-Class. Exciting battle going on between How Sweet It Is 2 and Flying Tiger. And now it looks like How Sweet It Is 2 has once again moved into second place with Flying Tiger on the inside, falling back to third place in M-Class. First place in open class, followed by Agitator there on the outside. Agitator is in first place in M-Class. If Agitator wins this and wins this race, it will be the national champion in M-Class. Here's Ohio Steel, followed by Agitator. Ohio Steel, of course, in first place in open class. There's Ohio Steel. Ohio Steel, a 42-foot fountain. There's Agitator, first place in M-Class. Agitator is a 32-foot skater powered by two 650 horsepower United Racing inboards with Mercruiser drives. The driver-owner, Alan Dumpman from Oak Brook, Illinois. At the throttle, Kirk Dumpman. That's Alan's son. He's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Agitator has done a terrific job this season. 1993, took a first place at the Texas East-West Powerboat Shootout, a second place in Atlantic City, a first place in Sarasota, a first in the Run for the Gold in Marathon, Florida, and a second place in New Orleans. Currently, it is in second place in the 1993 national point standings, but as we said, if it wins this race, it will be crowned the national champion in the modified class. Agitator is also in second place in the Northeast points. You're looking at Agitator, currently in first place in the modified. The Agitator race team has been around a long time, and they've always turned in a terrific performance, and today is no exception. Agitator in first place in M class. Some of the other competitors in the modified include How Sweet It Is 2, Flying Tiger, and Airborne. But right now, it's Agitator in first place in M class. Alan Dumpman and his son Kirk at the throttle doing a fine job. The Agitator racing team would like to thank Chuck from United Racing Engines. And certainly those engines are performing today. P8, Steel Lightning in third place in P class. Let's now go aboard Steel Lightning to get some conversation between the crew members at the start of this race. Freeze frame patched into their radio.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on the flag. Stay straight here.
As we get ready for the start, let us tell you that Steel Lightning is a 32-foot skater powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Driver is Mr. Alan Steele from Jacksonville, Florida. Throttleman Alan Wagner from Orlando, Florida. You're looking at Steel Lightning. There's Mr. Alan Steele driving.
Still yellow. Get this up a little bit, we'll be pinched. Alright, hang on, here we go. Okay. Just pace yourself now. Yeah, I'm ready. Don't get so close to Patriot. Get me over here. Alright. Alright, good. Just remember, I got a damn buoy up here. I got this. Alright. The buoy don't squeeze me in it. Alright. Alright, we got Spirit right next to Patriots. Let's just sit here. See who wants to do what.
All right, we hope you enjoyed some of that onboard conversation aboard Steel Lightning. Alan Steele and Alan Wagner. There's Steel Lightning on the outside and Spirit of Houston on the inside. And these two P boats now are battling for second place with Slick 50 in the lead in first place in P class. Steel Lightning on the outside took a fifth place at the East-West Powerboat Shootout earlier this year, a second in Atlantic City, fourth in Sarasota, third in Marathon, a second in Detroit, and a second in New Orleans. You're looking at Steel Lightning there on the outside. P8, a 32-foot skater powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Spirit of Houston, P1, is also a 32-foot skater powered by three 2.5 EFIs. The driver is Bill Westbury from Nassau Bay, Texas. At the throttle, Raja Rogers from Fort Myers, Florida. Spirit of Houston on the inside. Steel Lightning on the outside. Battle going on here for second place in P class with Slick 50 holding first place. So it's P8, Steel Lightning, and Spirit of Houston having a good race here at this 1993 Red Deer Offshore Blowout. They're battling for second place in P class. There's Steel Lightning with Mr. Alan Steele and Alan Wagner aboard. Spirit of Houston on the inside. Mr. Bill Westbury, by the way, who's the driver of Spirit of Houston, was very instrumental in organizing this event, this Red Deer Offshore Blowout. Bill Westbury, being from this area, Nassau Bay, Texas, had a lot to do with getting this event together. Once again, there is Steel Lightning on the outside behind Spirit of Houston. It seems now that Steel Lightning has begun to slow down. Apparently some technical problems. We certainly hope that Steel Lightning can resolve that and get back into the... In third place in C class, C77 Ocean Outboard. Ocean Outboard is a 28-foot skater powered by two 2.5 EFIs. The owner is Scott Lehman from Boca Raton, Florida. Driver of record J.B. Lehman. But JB is throttling today. JB's from Boca Raton. Driving today is Pat Mullo from Amity Harbor, New York. Ocean Outboard currently in third place in C class. Sponsors for Ocean Outboard include Ocean Outboard and Dollar Marine. Right now it is first in the national point standings in C class and second in the Gold Cup Series. You're looking at Ocean Outboard currently in third place in C class. There's when we come close now, we see that the skeg there on the left-hand engine is broken off, but it is not slowing Ocean Outboard down at all. The skeg is broken off, but is not affecting Ocean Outboard at all. Ocean Outboard in third place in C class, C77. As we said, Ocean Outboard is in third place behind Ragamuffin in first place and Hara Zuba in second. There's the Ocean Outboard. Pretty shot. It's a good-looking boat, good-looking 28-foot skater, very colorful, and maneuvering through these bumpy waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Pat Mullo and J.B. Lehman in their canopies doing a fine job keeping Ocean Outboard right on track. Ocean Outboard currently in third place in C class, C77. You're watching the 1993 Red Deer Offshore Blowout Powerboat race coming to you from Galveston, Texas. Of course, Red Deer, who has lent his name to this race, is famous for his oil well firefighting. Much of the money raised during this race will be going to children's charities in the Galveston, Texas area. Ocean Outboard in third place in C class. In C class is C12 Rude Cat. Rude Cat is a 24-foot skater powered by two 2.4 EFIs. The driver, Jeff Gibson from Houston, Texas. Throttle Les Ellard also from Houston. The crew is doing a fine job in these rough waters here in the Gulf of Mexico. The sponsors for C12 Rude Cat include Fiberglass Tack and Pier 45 Marine, also A&L Sandblasting, Lone Star Muffler, The Security Store, Bay Area Signs, Sound and Signal Marine, and Auto Sound. Those are the sponsors for C12 Rude Cat, currently in 4th place in C Class. The way things line up in C Class right now, Ragamuffin is in the lead, followed by Harazuba, Ocean Outboard, and of course, Rude Cat, C12, the boat you're looking at right now. Nice jump by Rude Cat, and a nice job by Jeff Gibson and Les Ellard. There's In Excess there on the outside in Super Class, currently in 1st place. In Excess on the outside in 1st place in Super Class, but you're watching C12 Rude Cat, currently in 4th place in C Class, doing a fine job. Jeff Gibson and Les Ellard, both from Houston, Texas. A lot of fans here, local fans, rooting for Jeff Gibson and Les Ellard. All right, the results are in for the 1993 Red-Adair Offshore Blowout Powerboat Race from Galveston, Texas. First off in Super Class, we've got In Excess in 1st place, followed by Spirit of Numancia and Gentry Eagle. In the Open, we have Ohio Steel, Endangered Species, and Team Australia. In the Modified, Agitator, followed by How Sweet It Is 2 and Flying Tiger in 3rd place. In the Pro Outboard, Slick 50 took 1st place, followed by Spirit of Houston and Bandit. In Offshore C, Ragamuffin took the checkered flag with Harazuba in 2nd place and Ocean Outboard in 3rd. In Offshore B, Rock Solid, followed by Power Play and Sudden Impact, bringing up 3rd place. In Stock Outboard, Thin Ice took the checkered flag, followed by Mobile One and Courageous Cat. And finally in Offshore A, Frank's Marine was 1st, followed by Team Hog's Breath and Fountain. And those are the results of the 1993 Red-Adair Offshore Blowout from Galveston, Texas. There's In Excess in Super Class, came in 1st overall and 1st in Super Class. Did a terrific job. There's Ohio Steel, came in 1st place in its class. 2 fountain boats, 2 fountain power boats, which did an excellent job during this 1993 Red-Adair Offshore Blowout. Now here are the national standings. We'll be crowning the national champions now for the APBA in the different classes. First off in Super, we've got In Excess in 1st place, followed by Kid Apache and Scarab Thunder. In Open, Recovery, followed by Spirit of Numancia and Endangered Species. In the Modified, Agitator is in 1st place, followed by Flying Tiger and Airborne. In the Pro Outboard, Spirit of Houston, Slick 50, and Steel Lightning. In the Stock Outboard, Mobile One, Thin Ice, and Chiller. In Offshore A, Frank's Marine, Fountain, and Scott Free. In Offshore C, Harris is the national champion in C Class, followed by Ocean Outboard and Special Edition. In Offshore B, Power Play, followed by Rock Solid and CF Express. Those are your national champions and national point standings for the APBA for 1993. And now, this being the second race in the Gold Cup Series, let us give you now the Gold Cup Series standings. Of course, the third and final race of the Gold Cup Series will be on October 16th in Isle of Marana, but as they stand, here they are. In the Pro Stock, we've got Patriot in first, the Forge second, and In It to Win third. In the stock class, we've got Mobile One, followed by Courageous Cat and Team Florida. In Offshore C, Ocean Outboard is the leader. In Offshore B, Power Play Racing, followed by Imagine That and Thunder. Offshore A, Frank's Marine in first place, followed by Plum Loco and Scott Free. Those are the Gold Cup Series standings to date. So this has been the final national race for the APBA, and we at Freeze Frame Video would simply like to say that it's been our pleasure to cover the 1993 season for the APBA. We're very happy to be a part of it and look forward to once again being a part of it next year. But as we have 3, and in the sea we have 8 boats, very highly competitive sea class today. Some of those sea boats include Ramada Inn, Team Power Play, Ocean Outboard, Change Order, and Simply Red, also Glamour Boys and Blackjack. Highly competitive sea class. So we're just a few moments away now from the beginning of this race. Now as we look forward, we see Team Power Play, Glamour Boys, Blackjack, Club One, Melons, Patriot, and Ramada Inn. Boats are lining up now, getting ready for this race. And now we've got the green flag now. We've got the green flag for the 10th annual Holiday Isle Islamorada Budweiser 100. This race is underway. There's Team Power Play, Club One, Patriot, and Ramada Inn here in the early moments of this race. There's Airborne here on the inside, now taking the immediate lead. Now as we look back, we see Glamour Boys. Now at the top of the pack there is Team Power Play, Club One, Patriot, and Ramada Inn on the outside. Of course, we have 2 boats here in P class. We've got Club One and Patriot. In C class, it's Power Play and Ramada Inn here at the top of the pack in the early moments of this Islamorada Budweiser 100. We've got Airborne in M class right now, taking the overall lead here in these early moments of this race. Power Play is a 33-foot Power Play powered by 3 2.5 EFIs. Driver John Lombardi of Fort Lauderdale. At the throttle, Ed Thornton, also from Fort Lauderdale. As we look back, there's Blackjack. And now, of course, here's Power Play with Club One and Patriot and Ramada Inn on the outside. Patriot a little bit of an edge over Club One. Also on the outside, Phantom Offshore now in the picture. Highly competitive start here in the early moments of this 1993 Islamorada Budweiser 100. A little confusion here in the early moments of this race. Some of the boats are altering their course somewhat, somewhat scattering. And that's why we see some of the boats going perhaps in a different direction. Hopefully they'll be able to straighten this out here and continue on the right course of this Islamorada Budweiser 100. We see now that TNC Lipship Special has also come in with the leaders. There's Club One, Blackjack, and Melons on the outside. At the top of the pack, P117 Club One, a 32-foot skater powered by 3 2.5 EFIs. Owner-driver Carlos Atwiar from Miami, Florida. At the throttle, Michael Benitez from Hialeah, Florida. Club One is the South Beach's hottest club, and Club One is rigged and maintained by Scott of Intense Marine from North Miami Beach. You're looking at Club One, P117. You may have seen just a short while ago that there was some confusion at the beginning of this race. Well, all the boats have straightened out, and they are all right on course. Water is somewhat bumpy, making it for a highly competitive racing today. You're looking at P117, Club One, currently in 3rd place in the Gold Cup Series. Now, in 1st place in that P class, we've got Patriot, and the Forge is 2nd. The Forge is not racing today, so Club One has a chance to move into 2nd place in P class in the Gold Cup Series. You're looking at P117, Club One. Some of the other competitors in P class along with Club One include Patriot and Melons. And as we said, Patriot is in 1st place in the Gold Cup Series. There's Airborne on the far outside. Let's look at that again in slow motion. Here's an instant replay of Club 1 making its way through these bumpy waters. Some of the other competition in modified along with Airborne is TNT Lip Ship Special, Phantom Offshore, and Endangered Species. Club 1 doing an excellent job here at this 10th annual Isla Mirada Budweiser 100. We at Freeze Frame Video look forward to seeing the Club 1 racing team at the World Championships during Thanksgiving week. Currently in third place in C-Class C77 Ocean Outboard. Ocean Outboard's a 28-foot skater powered by two 2.5 Mercury outboards. Driver is Pat Mulla from Amity Harbor, New York. Throttle J.B. Lehman from Boca Raton, Florida. You're looking at C77 Ocean Outboard. Beautiful jump. There's a slow-mo of it. Ocean Outboard. Currently in first place on the Gold Cup Series, and we believe that if it maintains at least a third place where it is now, Ocean Outboard will be your champion in the Gold Cup Series in C-Class. There's Team Power Play on the outside. They're currently in second place in C-Class, so we've got a battle going on here between Team Power Play and Ocean Outboard. Ocean Outboard, of course, on the inside in third place, but Team Power Play in second place on the outside with Ramada in first place. There's Ocean Outboard. Ocean Outboard took first place in St. Cloud, Florida earlier this year, a third in Corpus Christi and a sixth in Atlantic City, a second in Sarasota, and is currently second nationally, second in the national point standings. Ocean Outboard currently in third place, but picking up some space there between itself and Team Power Play. There's Team Power Play currently in second place in C-Class. Team Power Play is a 33-foot power play powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Ocean Outboard, as we look back now, still in third place with Team Power Play in second place. There we see Ocean Outboard and Team Power Play. They're vying for the lead, or at least second place in C-Class. Very close together now. A battle going on between the 33-foot power play and the 28-foot skater. There's Ocean Outboard. Nice jump. Ocean Outboard now has passed Team Power Play and has slightly moved into second place in C-Class. Ocean Outboard on the inside now in second place, and Team Power Play in third place in C-Class. Once again, Ramada Inn is in first place in C-Class, so the pursuit now is for Ramada Inn. There's Ocean Outboard. Not much of a lead, but it does have a lead over Team Power Play. There's Mellons on the outside. Mellons, of course, in P-Class is now in second place because Club 1 has retired, is out of the race. S2, Team Florida, 24-foot skater powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboards. Driver Tad Kynes from Key West, Florida. Throttleman is Edward Spate from Lakeland, Florida. Team Florida currently is in third place in the Gold Cup Series. Earlier this year, Team Florida took a first place at the Florida State Boat Championships in St. Cloud, a third at Fort Apache Hooligans, a fourth in Atlantic City, a fourth in Sarasota, a first in Marathon, and a second place in New Orleans. The Team Florida racing team would like to thank Harmsco Pool Filters and, of course, its owner, Hank Harms. The logo for Harmsco Pool Filters is "Only the Strong Survive," and Team Florida is certainly surviving the bumpy waters of the Atlantic Ocean in this race. Some of the other competitors in S-Class include Mobile One, Bad Intentions, Slingshot, Team Bermuda, Courageous Cat, and Conch Attack. You're looking at S2, Team Florida. Edward Spade doing a fine job at the throttle, as is driver Tad Kimes from Key West, Florida. There's our slow-mo shot. Beautiful jump by Team Florida, maneuvering these rough waters. Crew looking comfortable there, doing a fine job. Team Florida right on course. There's S8 Slingshot in the distance, and you see a little piece of our helicopter. By the way, our helicopter pilot today is Mr. Dave Clark, doing an excellent job, literally keeping on top of these boats, as you see S8 Slingshot. Let's give you an update now on the leaders in the different classes. In local, we've got Chill Out, and the modified TNT Lip Ship Special, and the Pro Outboard Patriot. Offshore C Ramada Inn is the leader. Offshore B Power Play, and an Offshore A Frank's Marine is in first place. Now we're looking at S8 Slingshot, currently in third place in S-Class. Slingshot is powered by two 200-horsepower Mercury outboards. It is a 24-foot catamaran. The owner, throttle man, is Jay Torbett from Jacksonville, Florida. Driving today, Ken Helms from Jacksonville, Florida as well. You're looking at S8 Slingshot, currently in third place in S-Class. The Slingshot Racing Team would like to thank VPS, which is Vehicle Protection Systems, and also Ron Barnador for preparing the boat. Some of the other competition in S-Class include Mobile One, Bad Intentions, Team Bermuda, Team Florida, Courageous Cat, and Conch Attack. Now, that's not totally true, because of those 7 boats, 3 have retired from the race. They include Conch Attack, Courageous Cat, and Team Florida. So right now only 4 boats are really left in stock outboard, and Slingshot is currently in third place. There are those two 200-horsepower Mercury outboards, and there are the crew members, Ken Helms, the driver, throttle man, Jay Torbett, doing a fine job in this 1993 Islamorada Budweiser 100. As you can see, our helicopter pilot there getting very close and getting a nice shot, an overview shot, and there we go, of the crew members and what they do in that cockpit. Really an exciting race today. We've seen a lot of good jumps by the boats. Of course, the bumpy waters are accounting for that, but it's making for really more challenging racing, more exciting racing, and highly competitive racing. Throttle man Jay Torbett doing a fine job. With TNT Lip Ship Special and Airborne there in the background, the final results of the 1993 Islamorada Budweiser 100 are in. First off, in the modified, TNT Lip Ship Special took first place as well as first overall. In second place, Airborne, followed by Phantom Offshore. In Offshore A, there's Frank's Marine. It took the checkered flag in Offshore A, followed by Team Hog's Breath and Scott Free. In Offshore C, Ramada Inn. There's Ramada Inn. It took the checkered flag in Offshore C, followed by Team Powerplay and Ocean Outboard. In the Pro Outboard, there was Patriot, Mellons, and Club One taking third place. In Offshore B, Powerplay took the checkered flag, followed by Team Cigarette and Speed by Design. In the Stock Outboard, Mobile One, followed by Bad Intentions and Slingshot. And finally, in the Loco class, it was Chill Out in first, followed by Swedish Hawk and Power Lips. Now, in the OPBRA Gold Cup Offshore Series, here are the final standings. In the Pro Outboard, Patriot, followed by The Forge and In It to Win. In the Stock, Mobile One took the checkered flag there in first place in the Offshore Series, followed by Courageous Cat and Team Florida. In the Modified, Airborne took first place and Endangered Species in second place. In Offshore C, there was Ocean Outboard, Change Order, and Ramada Offshore. In Offshore B, Powerplay Racing, followed by Pittman Photo and Imagine That. In Offshore A, Frank's Marine in first place, Scott Free in second, and Plum Loco bringing up third. Those are the final standings in the OPBRA Gold Cup Series. Dominating S-Class and in first place, DeSantis Chevy, a 28-foot skater, powered by two 2.5 Mercury outboards. The driver, Danny DeSantis from West Bridgewater, Massachusetts. And at the throttle, Mark Hilsinger from Methwood, Massachusetts. DeSantis Chevy has won just about every race that it's entered in this 1993 season. Currently, they're in first place in the Northeast Division and first in the national point standings. Sponsors of DeSantis Chevy include Auto Palace, Sunoco Motor Oil, and also Ocean Outboard. And special thanks to the guys Tony, Jim, and Ed at Ocean Outboard. You're looking at DeSantis Chevy currently in first place in S-Class. There's Wide Open in A-Class on the outside, running in the top of the pack. Well, right now you're watching DeSantis Chevy dominating S-Class and in first place. As we said, Auto Palace is the main sponsor for DeSantis Chevy. Auto Palace stores serve do-it-yourself auto enthusiasts with an extensive selection of auto parts and accessories. A dedicated special orders department located at the Avon offices sources hard-to-find and specialized parts for import and domestic vehicles. Auto Palace also distinguishes itself from the competition with one of the region's largest selections of automotive accessories and high-performance products under one roof. DeSantis Chevy in first place in S-Class. Danny DeSantis and Mark Hilsinger doing a fine job aboard S13. Now, this is a shot from the day before the race. We went for a test run on the 28-foot skater, DeSantis Chevy, and this is what it looks like from the front row seat, looking straight ahead here aboard DeSantis Chevy with our onboard camera. If you've ever wondered what it would look like to go for a ride in one of these 28-foot skaters, well, this is what it is. This is what it looks like. Of course, the next step is to actually go in one and go for a ride, but this is a pretty good simulation. S13 DeSantis Chevy currently in first place. Some of the other competition, of course, in Super Stock, Terminator, Feeling Wet, Hot and Nasty, and Bodyguard. Right now, it's DeSantis Chevy dominating the field and at the top of the field, number one in S-Class. Running excellent in S-Class, S69 Bodyguard. Bodyguard is a 28-foot skater powered by two 2.5 EFIs. The driver, Albert Fela from the Bronx, New York. At the throttle, Dennis Petrucci, also from New York. S69 Bodyguard is basically a rookie team for this 1993 season, but they have done very, very well. They took second place in Point Pleasant, also a second place in Kent Narrows, and a second place in Quake on the Lake. A fine job by the Bodyguard Racing Team, S69. Nice jump by the Bodyguard Racing Team. Here is a slow-mo retake. Bodyguard. The Bodyguard Racing Team would like to thank a number of people. First off, their sponsors, MF Electric, Club Limo, Boathaven, Frog's Neck Jewelers, and Futuristic Graphics. Also special thanks to my daughters. That's Mr. Albert Fela thanking his daughters Lisa and Michelle, and a very special thanks to his son Albert for his support. S69 Bodyguard. There's Extractor on the outside. Extractor, a 32-foot superboat dominating this field. It is currently first overall and first in D-Class. Those Zool power plants are really doing their job. Extractor dominating this course right now. Extractor. And there's Bodyguard on the inside. Of course, another shot of Extractor. S69 Bodyguard doing a fine job in S-Class. Some of the other competition in X-Class include Turbinator, Feeling Wet, Hot and Nasty, and of course the Santa Chevy, which is in first place right now. But now as we look back, there's Eastern Express at the top of the pack in D-Class, currently in third place, D14. Eastern Express, a 32-foot Douglas Marine skater powered by two 700-horsepower Chevy engines with Merc Cruiser drives. Eastern Express, the driver Joe Buscemi from St. Clair Shores, Michigan. Throttleman Robert Carrick from Algonac, Michigan. Eastern Express in third place in D-Class. Eastern Express has had a terrific year. They are your 1993 national champions, Central champions, and Great Lakes champions, and also your 1992 world champions. And of course, some of the people who had something to do with the Eastern Express success include their sponsors. Sponsors like Eastern Produce, Loctite Corporation, Mercury Marine, K-Tech Engine Development, Chevy Power, Canvas Creations, Environmental Signs, Carrick Steel, Sunoco Racing Fuels, Trans Overseas, and Sheridan Yankee Clipper Resort. Lots of competition in D-Class. Some of the other boats include Island Runner, BFI Systems, and Airborne. Right now, you're looking at Eastern Express. Now coming into the picture on the inside is Gifford Racing, right now in first place in open class. Gifford Racing on the inside, Eastern Express and D-Class on the outside, and in the background, Fort Lauderdale Shoreline. Eastern Express Racing Team doing a fine job. Joe Buscemi driving, at the throttle, Bob Carrick. There's some of the spectator boats watching this 1993 World Championships coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Of course, all the competitors that are competing for this World Championship had to qualify. Here on the inside now is Gifford Racing once again in open class. There you see both boats there side by side, trying to get the advantage, trying to get the edge here at this point in the race. But of course they are in different classes. We've got Gifford Racing in open right now, the leader in open, and Eastern Express in D class. But right now they're side by side racing in the World Championships, U.S. Offshore, here in Fort Lauderdale. There's Gifford Racing now picking up some room, and currently in first place in open class. Now there's a slow-mo replay here, and we see Arasaki in the background. Arasaki has retired from the race. We'd like to wish both Eastern Express and Gifford Racing the very best of luck for the remainder of this race and the rest of the World Championships for this 1993 season. Eastern Express and Gifford Racing doing an excellent job here as they are just about side by side here at the World Championships. Eastern Express in D class, Gifford Racing in open. S69 Bodyguard. Bodyguard is a 28-foot skater powered by two 2.5 EFIs. Driver Albert Fela from the Bronx, New York. Throttleman Dennis Petrucci, also from New York City, New York. The Bodyguard Racing team would like to thank a number of their sponsors, including MF Electric, Club Limo, Boathaven, Futuristic Graphics, and Throg's Neck Jewelers. Also, special thanks to my daughters. That's Albert Fela. I'd like to thank his daughters Lisa and Michelle, and also a thanks to his son Albert for his support during the 1993 racing season. S69 Bodyguard, 28-foot skater, doing very well here in these rough waters of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Bodyguard is up against Terminator, the Santa Chevy, of course Hot and Nasty and Feeling Wet, and the highly competitive S-Class. We'd just like to say that Freeze Frame Video has enjoyed covering Bodyguard during this 1993 season, and we wish them the very best of luck for the remainder of this race, and of course for the 1994 season as well. S69 Bodyguard. D14 Eastern Express, a 32-foot Douglas Marine skater powered by two 700-horsepower Chevy engines with Mercruiser drives. Driver owner Joe Bershami of St. Clair Shores, Michigan. Throttleman is Bob Carrick from Algonac, Michigan. Eastern Express has had quite a year this year. They were the 1993 national champions, also the Central champions and Great Lakes champions for 1993. And they're doing quite well here in the 1993 World Championships in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Team owner Joe Bershami says that Eastern Express has teamed up with the Sheraton Yankee Clipper Resort for this World Championship. And Bershami says we're pleased to be representing the world-class resort for the championships and look forward to a long winning relationship. Throttleman Bob Carrick brings to Eastern Express Racing Team the wealth of experience many teams desire. Rob has been racing offshore for 13 years and backs that up further with a thorough knowledge of hull design and fabrications. Throttleman Bob Carrick. Team owner Joe Bershami certainly is no stranger to high-performance boats, though the 1989 season was his first in competitive racing. And what a season it was. Driving the 30-foot Eastern Express Shadow Cat on the 1989 APBA circuit was both demanding and extremely rewarding, Joe says. He finished the season in third place while competing in the always tough UIM2 class. Joe's commitment to the sport is evident. Prior to the start of the 1991 season, Joe invested in a new state-of-the-art Douglas Marine skater hull. The move also paid off big dividends as the team finished with a second-place position on the Offshore Professional Tour. Owner Joe Bershami of Eastern Express. The Eastern Express Racing Team would like to thank their sponsors, including Eastern Produce, Loctite Corporation, Mercury Marine, K-Tech Engine Development, Chevy Power, Canvas Creations, Environmental Signs, Carrick Steel, Sunoco Racing Fuels, Trans Overseas, and the, of course, Sheraton Yankee Clipper Resort. We wish Eastern Express the very best of luck for the remainder of this race and the 1994 season next year. To DeSantis Chevy, and there it is. DeSantis Chevy currently running in third place, coming off a first place finish in Wednesday's race. DeSantis Chevy is a brand new 28-foot skater hired by 2.5 EFIs. Driver Danny DeSantis from West Bridgewater, Massachusetts. Throttle man Mark Hilsinger from Methuen, Massachusetts. DeSantis Chevy S13. Now, if it continues in third place as it is right now, it will be crowned the world champion in S-Class for 1993. Now, the DeSantis Chevy racing team would like to thank sponsors Auto Palace, Sunoco Motor Oil, and also Ocean Outboard, especially Jimmy over at Ocean Outboard. Now, Auto Palace, the main sponsor of DeSantis Chevy, is a chain of retail auto parts stores and service centers located throughout New England and New York State. Auto Palace stores serve do-it-yourself auto enthusiasts with an extensive selection of auto parts and accessories. A dedicated special orders department located at the Avon offices sources hard to find and specialized parts for import and domestic vehicles. Auto Palace introduced its first combination retail store and service center in June of 1992. This exciting format combines the extensive selection of auto parts and accessories that Auto Palace has become renowned for, with a 10-base service center staffed by ASE certified technicians. You're looking at S13 DeSantis Chevy, currently in third place in S-Class, but heading towards the World Championship if it stays in third place because of a first place finish in the first leg of this championship on Wednesday. DeSantis Chevy, a 28-foot skater, your 1993 national and divisional champions. The DeSantis Chevy racing team would also like to thank Mr. Richard DeSantis. We wish the DeSantis Chevrolet racing team the very best of luck for the remainder of this race, and of course for the 1994 racing season as well. The final results of today's race are now in the record books of this 1993 World Championships, coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. First off, in the open class, it was Arasaki in first place, followed by Toshiba and Sunoco. In offshore D, J&H Electrical took the checkered flag, followed by Island Runner and BFI Systems. In modified, Rolling Thunder was first, Armed and Dangerous second, Mr. Goodwrench third. In Pro Stock, Insanity came in first, followed by Molly's Black Gold. In Super Stock, Feelin' Wet, Hot and Nasty, and DeSantis Chevy. In Sport, Fever took the checkered flag, followed by BP, Pegasus Offshore, and Burning Desire. In A-Class, it was RC Marine all the way, with Wide Open in second and Twister in third. In Factory Class, Nasty Habit came out on top, followed by W&P Associates and Spoiled Banana. Now, here are the combined totals for the two races in this World Championship. First off, in F-Class, it was W&P Associates with Nasty Habit coming in second, and Team Cobra. In A-Class, RC Marine, Texas Gold, and Holland Glass. In B-Class, Fever took the checkered flag, followed by BP Pegasus, and Imagine That. In C-Class, it was Rolling Thunder in first. In second was Armed and Dangerous, and Mr. Goodwrench in third. In D-Class, J&H Electrical came out on top, with Extractor in second, Island Runner in third. DeSantis Chevy took the checkered flag in S-Class, followed by Feeling Wet and Hot and Nasty. Insanity was on top in P-Class, and Molly's Black Gold came in second. In Open Class was Toshiba in first place, followed by Arasaki and Team Jaguar. Well, those are your combined totals for the two races here at the 1993 World Championships in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And now here are your world champions for 1993. In open class, it was Sunoco in first place, followed by Gifford Racing and Ocean Outboard. In D class, a 32-foot superboat Extractor came in first, followed by Eastern Express and BFI Systems. In C class, it was Rolling Thunder, followed in second place by Mr. Goodwrench and Foster's Blue Thunder. In B class, Fever took the checkered flag, followed by Burning Desire and Parts Plus. In A class, it was RC Marine all the way, with Wide Open in second place and Dirty Dancer in third. In the stock class, it was DeSantis Chevy in first place, with Hot and Nasty in second and Feelin' Wet in third place. In factory class, Spoiled Banana came out on top, with Nasty Habit in second and Gone Bananas in third. And finally, in P class, it was Insanity with the checkered flag, followed by Molly's Black Gold. Those are your 1993 World Champions for U.S. Offshore. Now just a little recap on the World Champions for 1993. In open class, it was Sunoco Express and Gifford Racing, running excellent. In D class, it was Extractor, the 32-foot superboat with Zool Power, a well-deserved checkered flag there. In C class, it was Rolling Thunder and C1 for the third year in a row. In S class, DeSantis Chevy, a 28-foot skater, ran excellently throughout the whole 1993 season. In B class, Fever dominated the entire field with its Zool power plants. And in A class, RC Marine, the 30-foot superboat, took a well-deserved checkered flag with its Zool power. Just a great event, these 1993 World Championships here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Freeze Frame Video was very happy to be part of it. Now, before we go, there are a few people that we would like to thank. First off, the entire staff of the U.S. Offshore Racing Association. Manny Rodriguez from Crescent Airways, our helicopter pilot. Nancy and Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson's our cameraman, did a wonderful job the entire 1993 season. On behalf of Jeff Girardi and the rest of the Freeze Frame Video production crew, this is Vince Lipari wishing you a fond farewell from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and hoping to see everyone next year at the 1994 U.S. Offshore Racing season. Bye, everyone. Is airborne. Avatar World Championships in Cape Coral, Florida. As the boats are lining up now, we can tell you that the water conditions are very calm. We can also tell you that we will be going with the first start here in this first race of this 1993 World Championship APBA in the Cape Coral, Florida. We'll be going with the Super, the Open, and the Modified. Of course, the World Champions will be the teams that have the highest combined score for the two races. Of course, this is the first race of this two-race event. Now as we go to the front of the pack, where you see in the lineup how sweet it is, Gentry, Ohio Steel, and Spirit of Numancia on the outside. Just a few seconds away from the green flag now as we see how sweet it is. Gentry, Turbo Ego, Ohio Steel, and Spirit of Numancia in the lineup. We've got the green flag now, and the 1993 Avatar World Cup Championships have begun. And there we have all closely bunched together. We got How Sweet It Is, Gentry, Turbo Ego, Ohio Steel, and Spirit of Numancia all closely bunched together. But now it looks like on the inside is How Sweet It Is, putting down the hammer with United Racing Engines powering How Sweet It Is, pulling away from Gentry, Turbo Eagle. It's How Sweet It Is now taking the immediate lead in the early moments of this race, followed by Gentry, Turbo Eagle, and Ohio Steel. But it's How Sweet It Is in the lead right now with Carl Myers and Terry Ayers and United Racing Engines. All right, let's go back a few seconds in time here. It's shortly before the beginning of this race, right aboard How Sweet It Is with Mr. Carl Myers and Terry Ayers. And there you see how calm the waters are. And now you see How Sweet It Is picking up speed here just as it's getting the green flag. There you see our helicopter in the background taking another outside shot. How Sweet It Is with our onboard camera now. They've got the green flag. They're in the race, picking up speed. Once again, you see how steady the horizon is and how calm the waters are. Just a fantastic day for a race. We're going to see some high speeds during this 1993 World Cup Championships here in Cape Coral, Florida. You get an idea of how fast How Sweet It Is really going because it's really pulled away from our helicopter, which is no longer in the shot. We are really having a hard time keeping up with How Sweet It Is. Now, some of the other contestants in the modified along with How Sweet It Is include Agitator, JH Electric, Utterly Fantastic, and Phantom Offshore. There's How Sweet It Is right now, the immediate leader in the beginning of this 1993 World Championship. We're now on board Recovery. Recovery is a 40-foot skater powered by two 800-horsepower Mercury inboards with Mercruiser drives. These are just a few moments before the beginning of this race. They do not have the green flag. You see the wakes of some of the other boats that are out front, like the Spirit of Numancia, Ohio Steel, and How Sweet It Is. There's Joey Impressia on throttle inside Recovery, and now they're picking up some speed, waiting for the green flag, and they've just about got the green flag. Now they're in the race, and there you see Joey Impressia on throttle. They are now in the race, and there you see some of the boats in front of them, like Spirit of Numancia, How Sweet It Is, and of course Ohio Steel. Now they are in the race. It's a 40-foot skater, as we said. It's a Mercruiser drives with two 800-horsepower Mercury inboards. Recovery, the driver, Stuart High from Great Neck, New York. On throttle, Joey Impressia from West Babylon, New York. Is the owner of East Coast Marine, Joey Impressia, on throttle. You're looking at our onboard camera inside the canopy of Recovery, just a few moments after the beginning of this 1993 World Cup Championships. And Spirit of Houston. Now as you look forward up ahead, there is Tequila and Spirit of Houston. Of course, Tequila in first place on the right side, Spirit of Houston in second place, and there is Patriot in third place in P class. This is the 1993 World Cup Championships coming to you from Fort Myers, Florida. The Patriot race team has run in all the circuits for this 1993 season. Of course, APBA, U.S. Offshore, and SBR. You're looking at the Patriot racing team currently in third place in P class. It's P7. As we look forward now, there's that battle going on between Tequila and Spirit of Houston. Very high competition going on between these two boats that are very evenly matched. Both 32-foot skaters, both powered by three 2.5s, EFIs. Tequila and Spirit of Houston. Now it's almost like going back in time, a little deja vu going on here, as we saw in the Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix. Also, the same kind of battle that you're watching right now was going on in Sarasota between Tequila and Spirit of Houston. And once again, head-to-head competition between these two 32-foot skaters. With Tequila in the lead, we can tell you that Spirit of Houston driver is Mr. Bill Westbury from Nassau Bay, Texas. Throttleman is Raja Rogers from Fort Myers, Florida. By the way, Spirit of Houston is the 1993 national champion. There's Spirit of Houston once again in second place, with Tequila up ahead right now in first place, but it's anybody's race at this point in P class. There's your leader in P class, P99 Tequila. Tequila's a 32-foot skater powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Aboard Tequila, driver Jesus Lecote from Hialeah, Florida. At the throttle, Pedro Perazza, also from Hialeah, Florida. P99 Tequila currently in first place in P class. Tequila is rigged and maintained by Intense Marine. Intense Marine is owned by Scott Mander. Intense Marine is from Miami, Florida. It's a high-performance rigging shop, and our hats off to Intense Marine, which has a number of boats in this 1993 World Cup Championships here in Fort Myers, including Team Pantera, No Fear, and Too Intense. There are those three 2.5 EFIs. Tequila currently in first place in P class. As we said, Tequila is the leader in P class, and that's quite an accomplishment when you consider that the Tequila racing team has only raced 2 times before this race. This is their 3rd race for the 1993 season. They are in first place, and that is quite a feat by the Tequila racing team. There's the Fort Myers skyline in the background, and of course some of the spectator boats there. Great race to watch today. On the turn now, we see Tequila on the inside, Spirit of Houston on the outside. And there's Patriot in the middle. We still have quite a race here in P class. These 3 boats are highly competitive, and they're very close together right now. So it's really anybody's race right now for the lead in P class. But right now, Tequila has the edge over Spirit of Houston on the inside. And there you see Patriot on the outside in 3rd place, but they're all very close right now. As we watch these 3 boats here, you can see they're still pretty much bunched together. There's Patriot on the outside, currently in 3rd place. Some of the other competition, Spirit of Houston on the inside in 2nd place. There you see Patriot now making up some room, edging, going into 2nd place, passing Spirit of Houston. So they're jockeying for position. And of course, there's Tequila now opening up its lead over Patriot and Spirit of Houston. Quite a race here between these 3 boats in P class. Very exciting. Patriot now has moved into 2nd place. Spirit of Houston falling back to 3rd. There's Phantom Offshore. Phantom Offshore is in 4th place right now. There's J&H Electric on the outside. Once again, Tequila is currently in 1st place in P class. Freeze frame video wishes the Tequila racing team the very best of luck in this race, and of course the rest of the 1993 season. With Ragamuffin Archer Marine in C class in 1st place, there we see Fountain A176 on the outside. Ragamuffin is a 32-foot skater powered by 2 500-horsepower TCM inboards with Mercruiser drives. Aboard Ragamuffin, driver Paul Witter from Sultan, Washington. At the throttle, Ricky Ford from Pomona, California. Ragamuffin, of course, is a West Coast entry, coming a long way for this 1993 World Championships. Ragamuffin C69 currently in 1st place in C class. Ragamuffin has had a great year. They won 3 first place in on the West Coast. They also took a 3rd place in Sarasota and a 4th place in New Orleans. Now, you might be interested in knowing that Archer Marine rigged this boat, and it had really 1 week to do it, considering the short amount of time, and that they are in 1st place. Well, our hands off to Archer Marine. having done a great job rigging this boat, Ragamuffin C69, currently in first place. Now, the Ragamuffin Racing Team would like to thank Thaddeus Finley, also Archer Marine, T Custom Marine for its motors, and Jackie Jenkins, always being there to help out the crew. Lots of competition in C-Class, 14 entries in all. Some of the others include Running Wild, Harazuba, Simply Red, and Radioactive. Just listen to those two 500 horsepower TCM inboards. There's Phantom Offshore on the outside in the modified. C707's a brand new 28-foot skater. We're talking about Good to Go. Good to Go is powered by two 2.5 Mercury EFIs. The driver, Richard Ginsburg from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. At the throttle, Don Smith, also from Fort Lauderdale. The Good to Go racing team would like to thank PCM Securities, Richard Ginsburg and Associates, and Advanced Marketing Solutions, their sponsors. Richard Ginsburg would also like to thank his family and friends for support, as well as 4Play Marine for engines and rigging. You're looking at Good to Go C707. There are those two 2.5 Mercury FIs, and of course, crew members giving us the thumbs up sign that everything is a go. It's good to go. And there on the outside, A176 is Fountain. Of course, on the inside here, Good to Go. And now passing is Gentry Eagle. Gentry Eagle is second overall right now in this race, with Recovery first overall in this 1993 World Cup Championship. So right now, it's Good to Go. Once again, there are those two 2.5 EFIs. C707. Best of luck to the Good to Go racing team for this race, as well as the final race tomorrow in this 1993 season. Good to Go. Coming off a national championship for this year, 1993 APBA, is US 1 Recovery. Recovery right now is the overall leader in this World Championship and the leader in open class. US 1 Recovery is powered by two 900 horsepower Mercury inboards with Mercruiser drives. The driver is Stuart Aim from Great Neck, New York. Now we go inside there with our onboard camera. We see throttle man Joey Imprescia from Long Island, New York. Once again, we said they are your national champions. They also are the SBR Open Class World Champions and the 1992 SBR Superboat World Champions as well. Recovery is the team to beat. They are a tremendous racing team here and doing very well. Excellent, as a matter of fact, in this 1993 World Championships. They are your overall leader and leader in open class. There you see Joey Imprescia working the throttle. Imprescia is the owner-operator of East Coast Marine of Long Island, New York. The Recovery Racing Team would like to thank a number of people, including everyone at Mercury Marine, Jimmy Garlitz and Don Schwebs, of course, everyone at Lake X, also Willie Schultz from East Coast Marine, and everyone involved with the success of the Recovery Racing Team for 1993. You're looking at Recovery, your overall leader here, and number one in open class. They are your national champions and 1993 SBR World Champions as well. Recovery. Joey Imprescia and Stuart Aim looking real comfortable there aboard Recovery. Your overall leader right now in these World Championships at Fort Myers Beach. Those two 900 horsepower Mercury inboards are doing their job so well. Well, we cannot, literally, we cannot keep up with recovery as recovery pulls away from our helicopter. Another boat we're having a hard time keeping up with is M39. How sweet it is. How sweet it is first in class right now in the modified and second overall in this 1993 World Cup Championships. How sweet it is powered by two 800 horsepower United Racing engines. Aboard the 32-foot skater is driver Carl Myers from Springfield, New York, at the throttle Terry Ayers from St. Louis, Missouri. Here we go on board now with our onboard camera on how sweet it is. There's those dark, ominous clouds in the background, but all good news for how sweet it is. As we said, they're first in class and second overall in this 1993 Avatar World Cup Championships. There you see a really good view of the two canopies there, and of course the very calm waters on either side. The horizon just about even. There's our helicopter in the background, and our helicopter pilot is Russ Kilpatrick from Kilpatrick Helicopters from Moorhaven, Florida. Russ is doing an excellent job for freeze frame video covering this race. Russ Kilpatrick, our helicopter pilot. How sweet it is. There's your onboard camera shot as we stay aboard. How sweet it is, currently in first place in class. The How Sweet It Is racing team would like to thank Chuck Cece from United Racing Engines. Also crew members Richie and Scott, and their sponsors Reebok and Spike. And a very special thanks to everyone over at Lake X. Right now it's How Sweet It Is, currently in first place in the modified. There's an onboard camera shot, and second overall. There's A176 Fountain on the outside. How sweet it is on the inside. There you see our onboard camera there on the hull of How Sweet It Is. Of course, there are the Mercury drives. Just listen to those two 800 horsepower United Racing engines. Some of the other competition in the modified: Agitator, J&H Electric, Utterly Fantastic, and Phantom Offshore. There's Gentry Eagle on the outside, having some problems, is now retired from the race. There in the background, of course, the Fort Myers Beach skyline. Great place for this race. Hope you're enjoying it. Once again, our onboard camera shot, and there you see the tail of our helicopter. Trying to keep up with How Sweet It Is, giving us a hard time, doing a great job in this race. Once again, as we see our helicopter in the background, our helicopter pilot is Russ Kilpatrick. Also aboard Jeff Girardi and Gary Johnson, our cameraman. Aboard How Sweet It is Carl Myers and Terry Ayers, coming off two first-place finishes in Key West last week, making them the SBR World Champions. Just listen to those 800 horsepower United Racing engines. They're doing their job today, keeping How Sweet It Is in first place in class and second overall. How Sweet It is cranking today, making it very hard for us to keep up with them, and they're doing an excellent job. Terrific performance by the racing team of How Sweet It Is. Powered by two 2.5 EFIs. Driver Dave back from Grand Junction, California. Throttleman is Robert Middleton from Cucamonga, California. Another West Coast entry, Radioactive. Radioactive is owned by Elma Peel Racing Team. Radioactive in C-Class. Lots of competition. 14 boats in all in Offshore Sea. Some of the others include Ragamuffin, Running Wild, Harazuba, of course, Ramada Inn, Breakout, and Team Power Play, among some others. But right now you're watching Radioactive C61. C61 Radioactive, and there you see the crew members there. in their canopies. And, of course, the 2.5 EFIs doing an excellent job, as is the crew and C-61, considering this is their very first race of the 1993 season. Very little testing time on this boat, doing an excellent job. Our hands off to crew members Dave Bagg and Robert Middleton, and, of course, everyone else associated with C-61 Radioactive. Doing an excellent job right now in C-Class in these World Championships. And there's Fort Myers Beach in the background. Great place to watch this race, as many people are today. There's Radioactive on the inside and Bullet racing up ahead as we're watching these two boats. Here's an update on how things are going in C-Class. Ragamuffin is leading, followed by Running Wild and Harazuba in third place. That's C-Class. Right now it's Radioactive underway with Tequila taking the immediate lead. Tequila in the lead here in the PNC start, followed by Spirit of Houston, Running Wild, and Patriot. There's Tequila on the outside, the immediate leader here in the second start of the C and the P boats in this second race, the 1993 World Cup Championships from Cape Coral, Florida. There's the Spirit of Houston, Running Wild, and Patriot coming into the picture. The leader in P-Class is Tequila, P99. Tequila right now, the leader in P-Class. It's a 32-foot skater powered by three 2.5 EFIs. Aboard Tequila, driver Jesus Lecote from Hialeah, Florida. At the throttle, Pedro Perazza, also from Hialeah. As we said, Tequila right now is the leader in P-Class. And there's a beautiful jump by Tequila, a 32-foot skater. Nice job, nice handling job by the crew, Jesus Lecote and Pedro Perazza from Hialeah, Florida. Back to live action now. As we were saying, Tequila is in first place. In second place is Spirit of Houston. A little deja vu because back at the Suncoast Offshore Grand Prix, it was the same situation, a battle between Tequila and Spirit of Houston. At that time, they were also in the lead, as they are right now, Tequila in B-Class. Tequila, the 32-foot skater, is rigged and maintained by Intense Marine, which is owned by Mr. Scott Manners of Miami, Florida. Right now, it's Tequila in first place, 32-foot skater. Nice job there by Jesus Lecote and Pedro Perazza. Waters are bumpier today than they were in the first race, where the waters are somewhat calm, very flat, but as you can see there, we've got a little bumpiness, some waves, and as you can see, some of the flying going on by the boats, and nice handling by Jesus Lecote, driver, throttleman Pedro Perazza aboard this P99 boat Tequila, currently in first place in P-Class. As we slide on the turn now, we slide left, we see Running Wild in the lead, followed by Spirit of Houston and Archer Marine Ragamuffin. And there's the battle going on there between Ragamuffin and Spirit of Houston. Of course, Spirit of Houston is in P-Class, and Archer Marine took a first place in C-Class in the first race. There is Ragamuffin Archer Marine we're looking at right now. As we look out there, we see Spirit of Houston just ahead of Ragamuffin Archer Marine and Running Wild on the outside in the lead there in C-Class. There now we see Tequila on the outside coming into the picture. Tequila is in second place in P-Class, right behind Spirit of Houston. On the inside, of course, we've got Ragamuffin Archer Marine. Ragamuffin in C-Class. Ragamuffin is a 32-foot skater powered by two 500-horsepower TCM inboards with Mercruiser drives. The driver, Paul Witter from Sultan, Washington. Throttle man is Ricky Ford from Pomona, California. On the outside, it's Spirit of Houston. Of course, on the inside, Ragamuffin currently in second place in C class. Ragamuffin Racing Team would like to thank Thaddeus Finley, Archer Marine, T Custom Motors, and Jackie Jenkins for always being there when the racing team needed her. Ragamuffin currently in second place in C class, C69. Of course, there's Spirit of Houston on the outside in P class. Great competition going on here in this 1993 World Cup Championships, coming to you from Cape Coral, Florida. And there you see some of the competition going on with Ragamuffin on the inside and Spirit of Houston on the outside, some of the Fort Myers Beach in the background. Little choppy waters today, unlike the first race where it was flat. Ragamuffin, 32-foot skater, doing excellent right now in the second race of the World Championships. They took first place in the first race. They keep up their fine performance right now. A real good chance for the World Championship for this 1993 APBA season. Archer Marine Ragamuffin. Excellent job by Paul Witter, the driver, and Ricky Ford at throttle. Just listen to those two 500-horsepower TCM inboards. Crew looks real comfortable there in a 32-foot skater. On the inside, there is Spirit of Houston currently in first place in P class. Spirit of Houston on the inside. Of course, Archer Marine Ragamuffin on the outside. Coral, Florida. Agitator M1. Agitator currently in second place in M class is a 32-foot skater powered by two 650-horsepower United Racing engines with Mercruiser drives. Aboard, driver Alan Dumpman from Oak Brook, Illinois. Throttleman Ed Collier from Boca Raton, Florida. Agitator is your national champion in M class, and they have won the national championship 3 years in a row. The longest winning streak in over 100 years of offshore racing history. 2 U.S. national championships in a row, 2 world championships in a row, driver of the year, throttle man of the year, the humanitarian award, most professional team award. The Agitator race team of Alan and Kirk Dumpman have won them all. Of course, Kirk Dumpman is not at throttle today in this race. He's been injured, and Ed Collier, also a very respected throttle man, is in his place today. Agitator has had a phenomenal season and a phenomenal record. Archer Marine on the outside, currently in second place in C class. But on the inside, it's Agitator in second place in the modified. The final results of the second race of the 1993 Avatar World Cup Championships are in the record books. In Super Cat, it was Gentry Eagle followed by Spirit of Numancia. In the Super V, Scarab Thunder took the checkered flag followed by In Excess. In the Open, Ohio Steel was in first place, then Recovery, and then the other Ohio Steel boat. In M class, How Sweet It Is dominated, followed by Agitator in second place and J&H Electric. In P class, it was Tequila all the way, followed by Patriot and High Risk. In Offshore C, Ragamuffin overtook Running Wild in the final turn to take the checkered flag. Running Wild in second place, Ramada in third. There's a well-deserved checkered flag for How Sweet It Is with Mr. Carl Myers and Terry Ayers with a win today, and also on Friday. They are your world champions in M class. There's Tequila in P class. Also, they will be your world champions in P class. Great job by Intense Marine for rigging and maintaining Tequila. In other results, in B class, it was Tsunami in first place, followed by Imagine That, and then Be Fast. In stock outboard, Thin Ice, then Mobile One and Cock Attack, and finally in Offshore A, Frank's Marine took the checkered flag, followed by No Fear and Team Hog's Breath. Those are your final results of the second race of this 1993 Avatar World Cup Championships. With Lisa Greger and Bob Hamlin finishing second today in Patriot, let us now give you the world champions in all classes. First off, in the Super V, we've got Scarab Thunder in first place, followed by In Excess. In the Super Cat, it was Spirit of Numancia, then Gentry Eagle. In Open, Recovery in first place, then Ohio Steel number 76, and Ohio Steel number 99 in third place. In the M class, it was How Sweet It Is, followed by Agitator and J&H Electric. In the Pro Outboard, Tequila, Spirit of Houston, and Steel Lightning High Risk. In Offshore C, Ragamuffin took the checkered flag, followed by Running Wild, and then Ramada Inn. In B class, it was Tsunami, Imagine That, and Great Lakes Caster. In the Stack Outboard, Mobile One, Thin Ice, and Concattack. And then Frank's Marine took the checkered flag in A class, followed by Arch Marine Special and Team Hog's Breath. Those are your world champions for the 1993 World Cup Championship for the APBA 1993 season. We just like to say that we think this was a great event, great competition, also, of course, safe racing. And a special thanks to Mickey Markoff, the executive producer of this event. Very well organized. Great job, Mickey Markoff. Also, Freeze Frame Video would like to say that we've enjoyed covering the APBA season for 1993 and certainly look forward to covering the 1994 season as well. Now, before we go, there are a few people we'd like to thank. First off, our helicopter pilot, Russ Kilpatrick. Also, Gary and Nancy Johnson. Gary, of course, is our cameraman. Nancy, for her technical assistance in helping out the Freeze Frame Video production crew. On behalf of Jeff Girardi and the entire Freeze Frame Video Sports production crew, this is Vince Lipari wishing you a fond farewell from beautiful Fort Myers, Florida, and hoping to see you next year in 1994 in St. Cloud for the first race of the 1994 APBA season. Bye, everyone.